Oh, hello. I'm in my parents' basement because my wife kicked me out is not what happened. So, phrasing is important. The way that you order the words you say. No, we've been at my parents' house for the past time because we're doing things. We closed on our new house. Woo! But we're not moved in yet. We're going to be doing some stuff, getting it painted and some other stuff. And so dealing with that, we were hanging out at my parents' house for a little while. Also, it was Mother's Day yesterday. So if you meant to do something that day and you didn't, well, it's too late. Way to go. No, maybe you'll be forgiven. I don't know. I don't know your relationship with your people. Editing is what I'm doing a lot these days. I got my interview with Chelsea, the host of The Financial Diet. I got my interview with our realtor and with my parents and with my wife. And I'm just piecing it together. Tomorrow I'm interviewing James Altucher, blogger, financial guru, writer. He wrote motivational productivity books. Interviewing him about home buying. The next video is about home buying. In case you didn't see my last video, it's about us buying our new. It's not technically really about us buying our new home. It's more about the idea of buying a home in general. I've got a lot of interviews that I've narrowed down. So the process is basically I get a mountain of footage. I go through and cut down the stuff that I know isn't going to be used. Just really whittle it down and then pass through multiple times and then figure out the various categories and topics, which is hard in a conversational interview style where someone's talking about one thing over here but it bleeds into other topics. And then over here, they're talking about other topics. And then they talk about the thing they were talking about over here. So you got to find all of those things and piece them together so that it's one cohesive, organized thing divided into themes and ideas. Like with home buying, for instance, financial aspect of home buying. Is it a good investment? Is it good for your money to buy a home? But you could also talk about, is it good for your life to be able to, customize your home the way that you want it rather than renting? Both of those kind of separate topics, but also kind of customizing your home could also be about finances because it increases the value of your home. So those topics, when you're talking about them, they get jumbled. And so the process for me, just narrow it down for each interview and then take each interview and put those together, multiple interviews together into one timeline where they're organized by topic. And the whole process gets me really familiar with all the footage that's out there by watching it over and over again. So that I know later if I'm ooh, I have something for that, and then go back to the interview and grab it. But also it helps me write. It helps me figure out what all the issues about a topic. I could approach it home buying. These are the things we want to talk about. Finances, home buying versus renting, roofing, or something. I don't know. Random topics about home buying. You could decide that ahead of time, go find it in an interview, and then put their answers into your preconceived structure. Whereas what I like to do is make the structure as I'm going through the interviews, because that's how I find out all the common things that people think about when they think about home buying, because that's the topics that came up when I was talking to those people, to people who are more or less experts about it. Some wouldn't say, Chelsea from Financial Diet wouldn't say she's an expert in home buying. She doesn't own a home. We just went at it from a financial angle. But doing that helps me write it. And this is the way I've been doing I did the exercise, all the interviews in the exercise video, all the interviews in the vegan video, a lot of the good stuff videos that I edited in the past. Whenever it's China and I, when it's just me and China, the whole video is about China and I, taking interviews from her, sort of writing it around what was said in the candid conversation rather than trying to write it first and fit the conversation into it. And I like doing that because it ends up to me being more interesting. You have more real like funny moments, just genuine moments, and also it gets me out of my own head, and it's more about what other people think about a topic rather than me imposing my opinion on it. But right now I'm compiling a lot of interviews, like probably too many, and I'm whittling it down, and I'm going to get this home buying video up in a week. The interview with our realtor was 25 minutes. I've whittled it down to, I think, 5, maybe 4 minutes now, after like 7, 8, 9 passes through, and just continually. And it's amazing how you think that there's nothing more to cut. How do I decide what to cut in here? And like, these are all separate topics. And then the more you whittle down, you're like, actually, that means the same thing as that. Like, she said that 3 different times, just in different ways. And then you piece it together, and then it's more and more things become obvious to cut, because there's a lot more repetition in the way that we talk than it seems. There are things that are obviously repetition. You can tell. Like, I'm repeating myself constantly during this video. But if you go in and edit, there's way more than you even noticed, because the first pass is obvious. And then once you really think deeper about what someone's saying, you're like, that means the same thing too. Yep, that actually means the same thing. Yeah, why have these 3 different things in here? It's surprising how this happens with every single interview I do. It doesn't matter who's talking. The more you watch it, the more you can see the commonalities, and then the more that you distill it down, the actual issues around a topic, like home buying or minimalism, which is I also talked to Chelsea about for a later video, veganism or exercise. The more the true topics that people think about, the strongest topics, they come out in the editing process. You can see what people are dancing around with what they're talking about. That's just my life right now. That's why I'm talking about it. That's what I do. I just sit here and I watch people say the same thing over and over and try to think about what does this really mean? What are they really saying? And then often it's like, oh, this is what they're really saying. And they already said that. Okay, we're done. So yeah, I've repeated myself. If I were going back and editing this for a week, I could probably cut this down to about 30 seconds, this video. Sorry to waste your time. But then again, am I wasting your time? Because, well, then you just wouldn't get as many videos. But that might be better for you. Oh, geez, I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm sorry to waste your time. That's basically the point. But then, if you get worried about that, start looking at a lot of other things you watch, and how much they're probably wasting your time too, how you could cut things down. Like, you could tell most movies, you could tell the same story in 10 minutes. Most shows, like long series, some things take, long series you could tell in 2 episodes instead of 37, 87 or whatever. But, people don't only watch things just for the pure content, the pure meaning behind it. They also watch, the experience of watching itself is a purpose. Often, taking in pretty pictures, or pretty mood, or enjoying a mood, or being disturbed by a mood. So that's my way of justifying that I'm wasting your time, basically. So yeah, this was a video about things, talking deeply about the way I edit, and I hope some of you got some enjoyment out of that. What's coming up? The home buying video next week, following week or 2. I'm doing the video, the 36 questions that apparently if 2 people sit down and talk about the 36 or answer the 36 questions with each other, they fall in love or something. And China and I are going to do that. Some of you have suggested to have my parents do that. That's a really good idea. And maybe I'll do that for this video, or it'll be a separate video. I don't want to waste your time, so maybe I'll combine them all to one. But then again, it might be better to separate them out. I don't know. There's give and take with everything. So, there you go. How's your Monday going? Happy post-Mother's Day. There's Mother's Day Eve. What would the day after be Mother's Day. There's Eve. There's got to be a pun here somewhere. Mother's Day leave? Because you left Mother's Day? I don't know. Oh, we'll figure it out. Don't be a dingus. Oh yeah, also YouTube contacted me and I am getting an award for hitting 100,000 subscribers on this channel. Woo! Also, I'm still making these videos every single weekday on Patreon. That's on screen right now if you'd like to support me on Patreon. And there's also links to other videos that I do and stuff. Bye.